Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be showing you how I like to take apart pallets. Now this is one way I do it. The way I've done it before is to raise the pallet up on blocks and knock the boards out from under it. But I have had some problems with hardwood pallets and other things like that. You know, the twisty nails. And sometimes they're really hard or they break a lot or don't come apart. And I've used the Sawzall before, but I don't like that it leaves the chunks of the nails in the boards. And I've seen people use saws to cut the boards, but I like to get the full length of the board out of it. So I found a way. This is not totally my idea. I'll talk about that more later on where I found this and whatnot. But this way seems to work. It takes a little bit of time and some work, but you get the full board. The tools I will be using are nail punches, vice grips, hammers, hatchet, and 5-pound metal wedge. And from the original post I read about taking pallets apart like I'm about to, the person was using a wooden wedge, and I'm not sure how well that works, but I've got a metal one, so I'm going to use that. And then it's also good to have some safety equipment. Earmuffs are nice because it gets really loud hammering away. Also, gloves. You don't want to get poked by rusty metal. That's not good. So be sure to have some gloves, safety goggles. I also like to use a bucket to collect the nails because you don't want them getting stuck in anybody's feet. It's just a nice way to collect them, and you can easily just dump them all in the trash. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do to get started here is I'm going to take my hatchet and my big hammer. Now, I could just use the wedge, but the wedge has not a very sharp, well, it's got a point, but it slopes up pretty hard after that, so it doesn't really work for getting the board on board here apart. That's why I like to use the hatchet, because it's got a nice slope on it. So I take the hatchet with the big hammer and hammer it in. I always make sure not to go too deep because I don't want to hit the blade on the nail. So one way I make sure that I don't do that is I can come in sideways from different angles and get the slope, the wide end of the slope up through there like that. And we'll see if that's good enough here. So I'll take my wedge. No, it's not. So I gotta go a bit deeper. And I can also try from the back. Just kind of pop it up all around. And once I get it far enough up, I'll try the wedge again here. So once you get the board up far enough here, now I'll take the wedge and avoid the line of nails, so kind of go to the side, either the inside or the outside, to avoid the nails, because if you bump the nails it gets kind of bent up and you check. You keep hammering. And you can see it's popping up pretty good so far. Just hammer that a little more. I might need to switch. And it's all the way up. So this side's all the way up. If it gets stuck, you can hammer it. So now we'll move on to this other side here and show you what happens here. So here's the next part of the board. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come in with the hatchet. If it's still kind of sticky, I'll come in sideways. And that gets the wedge through there still. It gets the nail to pop up. And I'll check if that's popped up enough. We'll see. Stick the wedge in. If you're just beating the wood up, that means you're not all the way there yet. So that seems pretty good. Alright, now take my wedge. Make sure it's not hitting the nails. And there you see it just popped up. And then the last one. Here's the last one. We're going to do the same thing. Take the hatchet. Knock it in there. Get it pop up. Take the wedge. Make sure you avoid the nails. Sometimes you can rip out the left. There you go. And that's one board off. And you just got a few more to go. Quite a bit more to go. Now, I don't know if you saw it, but this board just snapped. That happens all the time with pallets, no matter what you do. You'll always have, a few that snap, so that's okay. This board is pretty beat up anyway. It's got a big hole in it and stuff, and it's not a super nice board. So, that's okay. You always do have some casualties, as I call them, with pallets. So, just take this one off and move on. Well, that one didn't turn out so well, but that's okay. So, we'll keep knocking these boards off here, and when I'm done knocking the rest of the boards off, I'll show you what I do with the nails, and also these nails that are left in here. A lot of the time, when you try to use a hammer claw on it, it just pulls the nail head off, or it just bends it up. So I'll show you what I do with those, so stay tuned. So that was the last board for the top. It seemed like when I hammered the wedge through this side of the board, like the outer edge to get them started and ended, it seemed like it was working a little bit better than just going on the inside. It seemed like I cracked more like that. Anyway, I'll move on to show you what I do with these nails here. So, when I have nails stuck like this, you would normally just take a hammer, pull on it. But if it's those really, like the ones with the twisty pattern on the bottom, and they're really cheap on the top, the head will just bend up. And I really hate that. So, my grandpa showed me this trick, so big thanks to him. Now, you can't use these nails after you do this, but I don't care. So you take vice grips, like this. You grab the nail, and on the rounded side here, pull. I haven't had one that didn't come out yet, so we'll take the bottom boards off, and then we'll pound the nails out of the other boards. So another quick tip here, I always take the outside boards off first, this one and that one, because sometimes when you don't have a lot of meat left, to kneel on and stuff, it can get all wobbly and it's hard to do it on the edge. So also for having somewhere to kneel on, I'll take a board and lay it across here and kneel on it to keep it from moving and knock out that board and the other one too. So here's my setup for taking nails out. I finished taking apart the pallet and now I'm going to knock the nails out. So I got these two thick boards and I'm going to lay the board nails up across these two boards like this. So I got my board set up across here like this. I'm going to put my knees down to keep the board from bouncing. That'll give me some more power when I hit the nails. And I'll just hit the bottoms and give them to pop out on the other side. And then when you get them popped out on the other side, you can either use a hammer like that, or you can use the vice grip trick, and that works well too. Oh, and be sure to properly dispose of your nails because you don't want that in your foot or anybody else's. So sometimes you'll be hitting a nail and it'll bend, and you can, you get it to bend like that. You accidentally hit it off or whatever. And you can try to bend it back, but what happens sometimes, I'll just try to show you here. What happens is when you try to bend it back with the pliers or whatever, and then you bend it again, and it bends too much, what can happen is it snaps. So that's where your nail punches come in. So you just take your nail punch and just hold it on there, and pretty simple. Then you can just flip it over and take the nail heads out, just like all the other ones. Well, the boards are off, the nails are out, so it's time to wrap up here. So with this method, it did break some boards, but pretty much all methods do that, or you cut them or whatever. I don't like cutting them with the Sawzall, like I said. Some people cut the nails with the Sawzall, and I don't like leaving the nails in here. If you're going to cut the boards, you don't want to hit your saw blade on that and stuff. So I like to take the nails out, and I also like to have the full board. So this method did get some broken boards, but you pretty much got that with everything. And I will say again, this idea is not mine. I found it somewhere on the internet and I don't remember where, but I just kind of took the idea. The person in the original post I read was using wooden wedges to do all the boards, and I don't know how that would work. Like with this hardwood stuff, sometimes on the hardwood I would think that the wedge gets beat up, but I don't know if you saw, sometimes when I don't have enough room for the wedge that I use, it kind of crunches up the boards. So you could experiment and try different things and see what works. And not all boards break. Like these hardwood stuff, when I was using the metal wedge and the hatchet, they popped out a lot nicer. It probably also depends on how many nails you got and stuff, but it seems to work out all right for getting the whole board and whatnot. So that's about it for now. If you guys have any ways to take apart pallets, any different ways I haven't seen, like I've seen lots of people use saws and stuff, but if you got any other ways, feel free to share them. I'd love to know. So yeah, I guess that's about it. I hope you liked it. Please comment, if you have ideas, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. And one more thing, job's never done until you clean up the tools.